MD, we're now live on YouTube.
All right, good evening. This is Wilson Head, November 6th Echo Mike Foxtrot, your net control operator for the River City Arc Slow Scan TV net. This net serves for training and practice in image transmission modes and meets Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. on the N6NA repeater on 441.30 megahertz. River City Arcs members and all licensed amateur radio operators are welcome to participate. If you wish to join the net or need to make a call at any time, please announce your call sign between transmissions and net control will acknowledge you. If an emergency should arise and you need the repeater, please contact the net control by saying break break. A double break signifies emergency traffic. The net will stand by for you until the emergency is terminated or the traffic is moved to another frequency. Stations who wish to check in are asked to respond with their full call sign using the recognized ITU phonetic alphabet and their name. I will recognize each station before continuing. Any station who wishes to check into the net, please come now.
Lima 7 Hotel Quebec Romeo, Neo in Antelope.
This is KP4AMD, Carroll in Citrus Heights.
All right, I got KL7, HQR, Neil. Good evening, Neil. Welcome to the net. Thanks for checking in. And Carol, KP4MD, of course, welcome. Got you as number 2, and myself, Wilson, November 6th Echo Mike Foxtrot. I'll call myself number 3. Any others wishing to check into the net? All right, I guess we're keeping a tight group this evening. If we have any late check-ins, please let me know. Since I'm having a little difficulty loading a photo in MMS TV, I'm going to see if anybody else is ready to go. I'll check with Neil, number 1, KL7HQR. If you're ready to go, go ahead and transmit your picture now. Thank you.
Roger, and good evening to Carol and you. Yes, I'll be sending a picture on PDF 120.
All right, well, Neil, congratulations. I see a really high-quality photo that just came through. A couple of horizontally oriented bars of possibly noise on my end, but I really can't tell what is in the photograph. To me, it looks like a high-powered computer, possibly. It just appears as though it has multiple modules on the lower right-hand corner of the enclosure. Possibly hard drives, I can't really tell. Maybe some other type of magnetic device in the middle of the enclosure. Without being able to tell what that is, it just looks like something pretty serious. And, I just can't tell what it is. Anyway, rather than spoil it, maybe I'll turn it over to KP4MD, see what her impressions are.
Yeah, okay, this is KP4MD. Yeah, this looks like a pretty powerful desktop tower computer. I could recognize in the lower left-hand corner of the case what looks like the power supply. Above that, on the back of the case, I see a cooling fan, and I think just to the right of that cooling fan, that may be the CPU with the heatsink there. And over in the right side of the case, I see some lights. So it looks like some LED lights in there, and a stack of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the bottom right there. I don't know if those are hard drives, but this seems to be something that's very high powered, and I have no idea what those things are up. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other uh, units there that you can see in the upper right hand side of the case. I'm guessing that this might have to do with the flight simulator. This is just my guess because I know that needs a really high-powered computer. So back to net control. This is KP4MT.
Very good. Thank you, Carol. That was pretty good. I was guessing it was possibly a computer, but I couldn't make it out. It's something, from my perspective, an unusual computer. So we have a short list of check-ins this evening, and want to give a shout-out to any of the YouTube viewers that are out there, any visitors from YouTube. And sure do miss AI6DG tonight. I guess it's the first time on any net that I missed him. So hope our friend Joel is doing good out there. If he's listening, hello to you. And if we don't see you tonight, we'll catch you next time, hopefully. So let me turn it over to Neil. Nice photo, and why don't you tell us about it? N6NA.
This is KL7HQR. Yes, I think both of you are correct. Carol obviously recognized the what happens that Joel, the other night when I sent the image of the flight simulating build, he had a couple questions about the computer. And so I prepared this but unfortunately he's not here. This is the computer as I built it in 2014. It's a large cage. It's called an HAF, a high airflow cage. It's about 19 inches tall. And what I had in there was a Intel i7 4770K overclocked and about 16 gig of RAM at that time. I just recently updated it and changed it to the new i9 10900 processor, and of course I had to change the motherboard, and we brought the memory to DDR4 and 32 gig. And indeed there are several drives in there. I have a total, I think, 7.5 terabytes in there. I have a 1 terabyte SSD to run the simulator itself, and a couple of other SSDs to run the C drive and to run some other programs. I also have a couple of terabyte drives. That was the biggest that existed at that time for storage of support programs and videos and graphics and things along those lines. It has about 6 fans, and indeed the big golden and bluish on the upper left-hand side, there is an air cooling device for the CPU. So I think Carol got a 99.99% on this one. Back to Net.
AI6TG.
Hooray! Well, welcome, Joel, AI6DG, N6EMF. How are you this evening?
Having computer problems for some reason. I can't get SSTV to see my sound card. Actually, it sees the speaker, but not the microphone. I'm not sure what's going on. So I don't know if I'll be able to participate. I'm on the YouTube, and that just looks like a big computer. I mean, extra heat sink for the CPU, multiple drives. I'm assuming they're in RAID. I guess that looks normal to me because I've been in computers long enough that I remember back when computers normally looked like this in big cases. I guess a lot of them are smaller now, not to mention laptops are starting to, and tablets are starting to take over. My computer, I don't even have in a case. I just have it sitting on the countertop, kind of hiding behind the monitors, the bits and pieces, and sitting there. So eventually, maybe I'll get it back into the case. Back to Net AI6DG.
All right, well, thanks for the update, Joel, and I don't know if you want to call it a check-in or not, but I'll say that you're with us now, and if you want to comment on photos, please do. So N6EMF here is saying a very nice computer, Neil, and I want to tease you a little bit. How many metric tons of Bitcoin have you mined with this? Or are you sure you aren't doing any day trading?
Let me burst your bubble. I honestly do not know what Bitcoins are. I hear it all the time. I understand they're hot stuff. I never took the time to go in and learn about them. So that negative on that one. And Joel, though those drives are not in RAID, they have different purposes. One is to store the graphics and the scenery. The other one is to store some supporting programs. And the other one, each of them. And one of them, SSD, is to run the simulator itself. And on the above those, I also have a couple of additional smaller drives. So, but anyway, so that's what it is. And I'm glad that you came in because I put this picture together because of your questions about the computer the other day. So back to that.
All right, Neil. Thanks for the refresher on that. Yep, that was for Joel. Testing right now, N6EMF testing. Okay, I think I'm ready to go. Did we have any other comments on the computer? If not, I think I'm ready to send my photo. Okay, N6EMF will be transmitting PD50. N6EMF has just transmitted PD50, and I'll just go through the list and check with Neil since he was the first check-in, KL7HQR. Would you tell me whether you copy?
Well, if you give me about a few minutes, let me evaluate these formulas to make sure that they're okay. Very good copy. Very few artifacts. A black background and a white square occupying the right 3/4 of the picture with a black clock face. And your call letters up on the upper right-hand side, top. Interesting. 6 times 2 for 12. 102,483 divided by itself, or negative, and it should be divided by itself. Negative, that would be, okay, 413 minus 412, square root of 4. In other words, you have the proper formulas for every one of the digits around the face. So, good copy, no problem at all. Back to Matt.
All right. Thanks, Neil. I will turn it over to Carol, KP4MD. Go right ahead. Did you copy?
Yeah, this is KP4MD. The picture came over very clearly, and I have to say, I think that if you showed this picture to some kids that are learning math now, or even just learning how to read time nowadays, they wouldn't be able to read this type of clock because they're all used to the digital readout clocks. Certainly, this is, I guess, a niche product for a mathematician or somebody who is really, really into math. I like the quadratic equation that you have to solve for the number 8. That's pretty neat. So came out very clearly. There are, I don't know, about half a dozen little colored pixels there from the paved pause. So back to Net. This is KP4MD.
All right, Carol. Thank you for that. Lots of fun. How about Joel? You're invited, so come on in. Did you copy? Did you want to make a comment? Let me know. N6EMF, AI6DG. Are you there?
And I actually received it. I just had to configure things differently than I'm used to, so it's still not working, but there's a workaround. This is a mathematician's clock. This is what you expect to find in a math department at a school, I would imagine, where each of the digits around the clock isn't the digit, but an equation that evaluates to the digit. That's kind of cool. I noticed comparing what I received with what's on the YouTube, it's similar, but a little bit different. I'm thinking I'm just a little bit further away, so I don't have quite as strong of a signal. For instance, the noise pops are worse for me than they are for Carol. I've also got some checker marks on the extreme right and on the extreme upper left. So I'm thinking one of these days I need to recalibrate my MMS SSTVs to not have such a severe slant. But otherwise well received and interesting clock. How many ways can you display time? Apparently there's quite a few, and for a math major this would be it. Back to Net AI6DG.
Right, yeah, so thanks for all those comments. To me, it looks like cookies and cream. If you look at the background, it's kind of black, like an Oreo cookie, and to me it looks like the inside of an Oreo cookie wafer, and it's the cream inside that is making my mouth water right now. I'm just joking, but I had a struggle to get this photograph off my iPhone. It came across as a .heic file. I had to convert it to a JPEG, and then when bringing it into, lately I've had difficulty importing pictures into the MMS-TV. The aspect ratio has been off, and sometimes I just can't get things working, so I need to spend some time on it, and I had this problem last week when I tried to show my the head, the valve train, and the engine that I'm working on. But anyway, yeah, this clock I have seen it before somewhere, like maybe the Exploratorium or something like that, or a science museum somewhere. And I'm always intrigued by it whenever I see it. And I've not found one for sale. I sure would like to have one in my office or maybe somewhere around here at home. But I'm just intrigued by it. I could really appreciate it. I haven't talked about it, but I am an electrical engineer, and of course have spent a lot of time on math in both at work and in my education. But of course I could read and understand every one of these, but I can't say I have a favorite one, but the ones that are kind of interesting to me are the ones you have to solve for the variable, kind of isolate the x and move it around and get what you're looking for. But other than that, those are my favorite ones, and I just thought I would offer something fun that I aspire to own and display in my home or office someday. N6NA. Thank you. All right, so if we have no other comments on the clock, we are at 9:20 for our Slow Scan TV Net. I would suggest we open up the floor for a general discussion about how the net is going or any other topic, and let it be a free form from here, unless somebody wants to send another photo. Any suggestions along those lines? N6NA.
7HQ, I don't know if Carol is prepared to send a photo or even Joel.
Oh my gosh, Carol. I never should forget about Carol. My total apologies, but it seems like we are going to be running quite a bit ahead of schedule, though. So it still the question still stands. If Carol is able to send her photo, then we'll probably have some time left over. How about that? N6NA.
Yeah, sure. This is KP4MD. I'll go ahead and send a picture of PD120. I'm going to have to temporarily close the picture viewer because it doesn't let me do anything on the program. So I'm going to close the picture viewer and load my picture that I want to put in there. And then go over to RX and send. This is KP4MD, and this is going PD120.
All right, Net Control N6NA here has copied the picture fairly well. I've got a little bit of slant I need to correct, and a little bit of periodic noise across the photo, almost kind of an array of splotch marks that are. But anyway, I see a couple of like champagne bottles, maybe, that have encapsulated within them some apparently ham radio gear. I can see a close-up inset on the right of the bottle, and then sort of a broader view of the whole thing on the left. I could see a display at the top, near the top of the kit or the prototype, whatever this is, and it looks like it might be tuned to 7288 kilohertz, .202 maybe. I can't really read the display, but it looks like it's showing lower sideband and colorful display of alphanumerics or numerics, a LED in the middle. Can't tell what it is, but I do see possibly a voltage regulator or some kind of transistor device and a pretty medium power package there. SMA cable with the SMA port, maybe some kind of dial at the bottom. But anyway, looks like a lot of fun. A question for the MD, was the container open when you brought it home from the post office? N6EMF. Turn it over to Neil, KL7HQR.
Roger, KL7HQR. Very good copy here. I didn't have the noise spikes that you had. I'm comparing the clear picture of the original up on YouTube versus mine, and they're very, very minor spots. Big spots, and yeah, I believe it is just two pictures of the same bottle. One is with a close-up, and there's on the left side there is a microphone, obviously a plug in there on the several toggle switches on the right-hand side. Interesting project, and that gives by looking at the display and looking at the size of the screws and the spacers. It's a very, very small display, obviously, to fit in this bottle. I don't know if it is one of those large bottles like they use in Formula One commemorations. There is a name for that, and I forget. Or if it is a regular one. But quite an interesting project. And I don't know if Carol May says there something in Belgium on the right-hand side. So it was a very clear picture. Very nice. Back to Net.
All right, thank you for that, Neil. Very, very nice description. Again, I apologize for missing Carol there. Not sure what I was thinking. So since we have Joel on board, AI6DG, did you want to let us know whether you copied? What did you see there?
I've received it pretty well, but then I got an offset on the bottom quarter, and when a little bit after that, then the whole top half went super slanted. So I'm not sure what happened. I'm thinking this is probably a plastic bottle, not glass, because down below the switches, it looks like there's a headphone jack that's going through the bottle, and it's hard to drill glass. It's possible, but if it's plastic, that makes it a lot easier to drill, and probably also easier to put the equipment inside the bottle. Otherwise, it's one of those chips in a bottle. Only in this case, it's radio in a bottle. But nice display. I don't know if I think it says both upper and lower sideband, which is confusing. 40 meters, 7.2. Looks like there's an Arduino of some kind right below the display with the red light. BNC on the right, BNC cable and connector on the right, a couple of switches. Hand mic. On the left, you can see that just sitting on the surface the bottle's sitting on, just to the left of it, there's a metal hand mic. So that kind of gives you a feel for the scale of the size of the thing. And I don't know my champagnes or bottled products, so I don't know what that label is. It does look like it says Belgium, though. Oh, made in Belgium. Okay. I don't know what's made in Belgium that you drink. Looks like an interesting project. And let's go. Let's go soda. Summit's on the air. Let's drag this up to the summit somewhere. Empty. Or would it be better to have it not be empty and have it be empty by the time you head back down? Back to net, AI6DG.
Yeah, I like that idea. Belgium, I know they have beer. I've had some Belgium beer before, or beer from Belgium, so I would enjoy that. Well, tell us, Carol. I'm sure you copied it. Was yours to send? So let us know the story behind this one. Thank you. N6EMF.
Okay, N6EMF in the group. This is KP4MD. First of all, uh, I want to share that these pictures were sent to me by Pete Giuliano, N6QW. I've been in contact with him by email. He's one of the podcasters on the Solder Smoke podcast. And he sent this to me. It was from one of their listeners to their podcast in Europe who built a rig in a bottle. Like you say, it's kind of similar to a ship in a bottle, but it's a rig in a bottle. And yeah, the bottle says made in Belgium. I would think it's some kind of a wine bottle or a champagne bottle because of the foil that's covering the cover, the top there. And must be kind of looks like a glass bottle. I would suspect that somebody's got some glass cutting equipment and were able to slice off the bottom of it and install the rig in through the bottom because there's no way you're going to fit it in through the top. And yeah, it's 7200. It's got the zeros that have the slash through them. So it's 7200 and then 000, both upper and lower readout. And there is a choice between upper sideband and lower sideband. And there's actually a little red dot to the right of the LSB, so you know that it's set to lower sideband. And there's a S meter above the lower frequency readout. You can see it's kind of a bar graph that's reading, I don't know, S2 or S3. And it's Joel, you did identify that there's an Arduino in there, which I'm sure is being used to control the readout, the digital readout, and also probably an SI5351 frequency synthesizer chip in there. You can see what looks like a tab of a power transistor sticking out from under the right side of the frequency display. And yeah, the toggle switches you see on the right side, and it looks like what's on the left might be possibly I think that might be a power. No, it looks like there's a couple of controls there. There's a knob on the left, which is smaller, and there's a larger knob in the center towards the front. And then there's a jack underneath both of the toggle switches, which may be actually the jack for the microphone cord. Very interesting. And I thought it was just a curious picture to share with you all. And that's quite a interesting project, and I'm sure they've used it on the air. It'd be interesting. So back to net control. This is KP4MD.
It's very interesting. Thanks for sharing that photo. It's kind of inspiring. Makes you want to think about all the things you can do with different materials for fun, for novelty. And this is definitely, very interesting. Any other comments on this one? Looks like a ton of fun. So, like I said, I kind of estimated we would round up a little earlier this evening, especially because we had a pretty small group. So thanks for joining in with us, Joel. Would you, does anyone want to cover any general topics for the SSTV Net? Should we plan on closing it out, or is there anything that you'd be interested in discussing or inquiring about?
I have a photo I can at least try to send.
Right on. Go right ahead. I'll be listening. N6EMF.
So let's try tone first.
You got tone. I copy.
F120.
N6EMF, net control here is correcting slant, and what I'll do is go a little bit out of rotation. I'll let Neil indicate whether he would copy. Go right ahead, KL7HQR.
Roger, KL7HQR. Yeah, the copy, good copy. Very few color dots. Looks like obviously it's an outdoor operation. Lots of trees. A blue canvas tent placed interestingly in a slant, obviously to accommodate the position of the sun. A blue car. The table, I cannot get too many details on the table, but obviously a lot of equipment on the table. There's a solar panel, which maybe eventually was moved because it's beginning to get in the shade there. And just so you know the detail, I can see on the left-hand side, near the left leg of the canvas tent, I can see what appears to be a hammer on the ground. Cannot read the license plate on the automobile, and I don't know much about the car, so I don't know what brand it is. But very, very good copy, and obviously, obviously an operation outside. I don't know if very recently or not. Back to Net.
All right, well, thank you for that, Neil. That was KL7HQR. N6EMF net control here. I'll basically say that I concur with everything that Neil said, and I haven't been able to correct my slant for some reason, so it'll be something I'll investigate later. I just think that that's from my perspective, a beautiful landscape setting. Looks like it might be in a wooded area near a river or a lake or something, possibly. There's solar panel in the foreground, and I can't tell what's situated on the table, and the sedan or the coupe in the background, or sedan in the background. Audi for sure, or Volkswagen, but Audi. Go right ahead, Carol, KP4MD.
Okay, yeah, this is KP4MD. I see everything you say there. You've got a canopy, you've got a folding chair, you've got a folding table with some equipment on top of it, and it looks like there's a one of those storage containers underneath the table, kind of a gray color, and the solar panel, the hammer on in the foreground with a little tiny brown box just to the left of it, and then the car. And looks like it's located in a park, probably one of Joel's. Joel likes to do these things, especially when we go out to conventions. He'll go into the parking lot, but I think this is more like a park that he might have set up. So back to net control. This is KP4 Mike Delta.
Thank you, Carol. All right, Joel, AI6DG, you're up. N6EMF here.
So this is a continuation of last week's photo I sent. So last week I sent a close-up of what was on the table. And this week, looking at the overall, this was my winter field day setup at Folsom Point, out at Folsom Lake, just outside of Folsom. Blue Ravine and, I don't know, was it Thomas or Bidwell or, anyway, this place used to be called Dyke 8. There's a boat launch on one side, and this is alongside the road to the picnic area. And it was a beautiful day, and it's a beautiful spot. You can't really see the Folsom Lake from here, but you're on top of a dike. And as you go down to the picnic area, you're at a point where you're overlooking the whole lake and the dam. And yeah, the canopy is to keep you out of the sun, and it's slanted like this so that the sun doesn't shine just out the side. I mean, there's been times I set this up and the canopy is next to useless because the sun's just shining on in any way, sideways, right through. But this is pretty easy to set up. Everything goes into the trunk. You can slide it all out and set it up right there. The only difficult thing sometimes is setting up or tearing down that canopy when you're all by yourself. It's a lot easier with two people, but I think I'm starting to get the hang of it. And I was usually I'm concerned about staying out of the sun and keeping cool, but it was while it was a nice day, being in the shade like this, and with the slight breeze I was actually a bit chilly at times. I had to pull out and put on a jacket and put on another layer. And right after this, or maybe even at the same time I was taking this photo, I moved that solar to the other side. I think I set this up in the morning when it was on this side of the tent, and by this time it was on the other side of, not tent, canopy. By this time it was on the other side of the canopy. Yeah, pull out the plastic container underneath the table of stuff, pull out the table, set up the tent, start unpacking things and putting them on the table, operate, and then hopefully put things back away by the end of the day. And when I finally was finished, it was 6:30 or 7, and it was very dark. So always bring a flashlight, even if you don't think you're going to need it, because if you need it, you need it. Back to net, AI6TG.
All right, Joel. Well, thanks for sharing that. That's wonderful. I could appreciate what you're doing out there. I haven't done one yet, but I sure am piecing my remote or mobile station together so I can do that. Got myself a lead acid battery that I'm going to use, and a 9-to-1 unun that I can use for a random wire or a long wire. So I'm getting ready. Nice to see you out there like that. Any other comments or questions for the photo that Joel has? All right, I made a couple of attempts to see if there was any interest in general discussion, and hearing none, I'm going to gesture to close the net. If there are no objections, I'll take pause. If there are no objections, I'll seek to close the net.
KL7HQR with a question.
Yeah, 6DG also.
N6EMF, go ahead, HQR.
Okay, this is directed to Carol. I've been watching on the YouTube the larger version of the picture. From my perspective, it's quite an improvement. How much trouble is it for you to do that? You have your hands full there with the radio and the YouTube. Is it a large amount of extra work? And what do you think about the results?
Yeah, well, I think it is. It does make the picture a lot clearer for people looking on YouTube. It's not very much extra work. I just need to open the picture viewer. But when I do that, I don't get access to any of the controls in MMS TV. So I have to close that. That's a little magnifying glass. You can see it to the lower right-hand corner of the picture window there. Uh, so it's just I have to juggle between that and the main window here for the program. So if it's better and it's more accepted, we'll just continue this. It's not a problem. Over.
KL7HQR. Yeah, I used that. I expanded to the receiving picture to a separate screen here and put it on full screen. And I was wondering if anybody on YouTube would make a comment whether they have any preference one way or the other. Thank you for doing it, Carol. Appreciate it. KL7HQR. Back to that.
I'd like to second that. Your efforts definitely don't go unappreciated. Definitely appreciate it. So thanks for keeping that up. Sounds like for many years. Obviously, I'm new to SSTV, but I heard a comment from KP4MD that it's been going on for several years. If I'm not mistaken, 11 years. Is that correct? N6EMF.
Yeah, we started this net 11 years ago after we did a presentation at the club on SSTV, and I think Joel probably remembers more from back then. We had quite a nice group back then. Most of those people have gone different ways, but there were a few months that we kind of slacked off in activity and we picked it up again. Joel was one that had persistent interest in this, and I'm glad that we got more people back into using MMS STV. Back to net. This is KP for MD.
All right. Well, you've got a legacy now for sure, at least in this area, and if not many others. But AI6DG had a question as well. Go right ahead, Joel. Thank you.
No, I definitely don't go back on this net 11 years, but definitely a few years. And from what I've observed, interest comes and goes. There was a definite lapse for quite a while there where it just wasn't happening. So I'm also glad to see that it's happening again and that the interest is here again. And in that line, I was wondering what the status was on Saturday activities like we were doing for a while there. Is there interest to continue those, to continue practice, or maybe start in on another mode of some kind?
I appreciate the question. Let me jump in there. For me personally, I have the interest and the enthusiasm to do these things, but right now I've got my engine project has got me sunk. I've been working on that, and all my spare time goes into that, and I'm really trying to wrap it up and cut some corners and get it done, and I'm unable to really commit time to a lot of other activities right now, but I am inching along. I'm, like I said, building a mobile station up. Probably every week I add something to my arsenal to be able to operate remotely. Like I said, I got a battery in an onion, and I've got some wires, so I'm probably going to tinker with a radio. But my interest for right now is to make a foray into CW and Morse. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I don't know, and I want to have some conversations with N6PGQ on his K3 and maybe hear more from Carol about her KX3 rather. And I want to get a KX2 myself, and I see that you have one, Joel, and those are things that I want to talk about, but I don't want to steer the conversation that way if others aren't interested. N6EMF.
KL7HQR.
Go ahead, Neil.
Yeah, I second you on the interest. I may have missed some of the Saturdays because of unexpected activities that interfered, but we were doing the FD8, and I do FD8 occasionally on HF. I have not done SSTV on HF. I would be definitely interested in joining some kind of a CW, and I know that there is another JoJo and another group we're working on getting some kind of a slow CW practice nets, and I don't know if it was VHF or HF, and I have not been able to contact him. So he has something going along those lines, and if you're interested, I would be interested in participating. This particular Saturday, I can't because I have to go pick up that radio. But any other time, I definitely would like to be informed, and we'll try to jump in as much as possible. Back to Ned.
All right, well, that's good to hear, Neil. Thank you. My weekend is jammed up as well. It's a holiday weekend. Kids are going off in different directions. My wife and I are trying to do a date night or two and work on the engine. So, but anyway, that's my story. I keep reiterating it. I do have a question for Carol and AI6DG for Joel. If I were to purchase one of those KX2s, would you recommend against it, or would you be all for it, just in general?
AI6DG.
Go ahead. I know it's late, and I was just curious. Do you think I can go wrong with that? I mean, knowing what you know now, Joel, would you buy another one, or would you aim for a KX3?
Yeah, I don't think there's any one answer to that because it's going to depend on each person, how they're going to use it, and what their needs are. I don't think there's anything that's going to beat the KX2 when it comes to like SOTA or portability. It is very small. It's very power thrifty. For QRP, it is QRP, so you're going to be paying attention to your antenna system, and you can use it at home, but you're going to need an amplifier unless you're into pain, because QRP is not a fun thing for a beginner, a newbie to start with, potentially frustrating. There are people, a lot of people I think, with KX3s, with the PX3 pan adapter and probably an amplifier of some kind, and they use that as their main station. If you're not so much into SOTA and you're more into this portability, maybe broaden into some of the other small rigs that are out there. I would definitely get the KX2 with the antenna tuner, because that lets you attach just about any type of an antenna to it and have it match. I'm not going to say top-notch, but almost top-notch in terms of quality of the receiver. At least that's my impression. At the time it was unique. It's still pretty unique, but there's been just some competition that has come out since it came out. So I would say go for it, but I would also say look around and see if anything else strikes your fancy. Back to Ned, AI6DG.
Appreciate just a little bit of discussion on that, and I won't pose any more questions in the interest of time unless others out there have anything. But appreciate that feedback. I think the price is fine, and the KX3, has a lot more adaptability, a lot more future-proofing. That's something I really like about the KX3. But the KX2 fills a gap for portability and low power consumption that and if I needed, I could carry around my IC7300 if I really wanted to. That could be as portable as I need it to be, but it's somewhat of a power hog in comparison to some other things. But thanks for that, Joel, AI6DG. Really appreciate that feedback. And for Neil, I think, as soon as we get beyond early March, I think we can fire up some more of these technical discussions if that's what you like. Carol, did you have anything?
No, this is KP4MD. I would just, I'd have to second what Joel said. The Elecraft radios are a bit pricey compared to some of the others, but you pretty much get what you pay for because it's top of the line quality receiver performance. The KX3 is, like you say, a bit more expandable. We could use it with the pan adapter, and if you use it together with an amplifier, you've got essentially uh, almost the same thing like a K3S. It's as far as the performance is concerned. So I'm happy with the KX3. I bought it before the KX2 was available, but in any case, I think I would have stayed with the KX3 anyway. I have the 2-meter transverter inside it, so I can use it on 2-meter sideband. It also operates on 6 meters and 160, which I don't believe the KX2 operates. So and I've got the built-in antenna tuner also. So really happy with it, and it's worked very well for me in my portable operation. Back to net. This is KP4MD.
Yeah, that's even more good feedback. It pretty much confirms what some of the conclusions I've arrived at. So I appreciate that feedback. Kind of reinforces some things. Hearing you talk about the KX3, it's pretty compelling. It really is. It almost seems like I would want to buy a base model KX3 and maybe grow into all the other product options that are available over time. So I haven't decided yet, but it's probably going to be one of those two. Thank you, Carol. KP4MD, N6EMF here. Let me turn it over to Neil for any final comments or see if there's anything else out there. KL7HQR?
Scale 7HQR. No further comments. It's been a very good net. I enjoyed it. The quality of the pictures are good, and I believe that we started again in conversations about some more technical off-net meetings. So very nice evening. Enjoyed the 73s to everybody, and looking forward to the next Wednesday. KL7HQR, back tonight.
All right, Neil, I want to second everything you said, and yeah, let's target mid-March for more technical discussions, and if there's anything that comes up before then, we'll put something together. So here it is. I'm going to seek to close out the net.
Hey, one more comment.
Oh, go right ahead.
A couple of radios I just wanted to briefly mention. I'm not endorsing them. I'm just, if you're going to do research, don't forget to include these also. The new ACOM 705, it's kind of a different class from the KX3 or the KX2. And then there's a new one that looks very interesting from 599 Labs. And the neat thing about it is how small it actually is, and it's very weatherproofed, very outdoorsy. You can be in a rainstorm and not worry about it. Whereas the KX2 is one of its weak points actually is its lack of weatherproofing. It's not it's not ruggedized is one way of putting it. It's got openings and things. Anyway, back to net AI6TG.
599 Labs, noted. I will take a look at that. 705 radio is one that I suspect, based on its appearances, has a very high, a relatively high standby or current drain. But I'll have to confirm that. One idea that I had was to use a Tuna 10 as a transmitter next to my ICOM 7300 as a receiver for power conservation, and it seems a little kludgy, but it has some novelty to it. It has some aspects of a challenge, and it's definitely QRP. So more on that later. Thank you for that suggestion. I will be looking up 599 Labs, which I'd maybe not heard of or not recognizing so far. Thank you, Joel. I'm getting ready to close the net. And what I'd like to do is thank everybody for their participation in the net, and for all those out there on the YouTube channel. Thanks again going out to Carol for running the channel. And it has been a fun net with some good quality photos. So thanks for all the comments and the questions. Good dialogue, good camaraderie. It's been lots of fun. So what I'll do is say hope to see you again next Wednesday at 9 p.m. This net is officially closed, 9:59 p.m. Pacific time. This is Wilson, November 6, Echo Mike Foxtrot, wishing all of you